Yes, this is the Ghetto Free Press, and I'm in Quitman, Georgia. Camellia City, home of beauty Sheffield, established 1859. Yes, yes, yes. Listen and listen well. As the Ghetto Free Press, the voice of the people, do what we've always done, and that's to keep you informed under our form of government. Listen and listen well.
It hurts me. My county commissioners, Mr. S.O. Jones, Mr. Joe Wingate, and Mr. Howard Lawson, find nothing wrong with this. They find nothing wrong with this. How much can one community endure to have the right to have our votes cast and counted for who we want to represent us?
Anybody else wants to bring up anything else?
This is the Brooks County Detention Facility, and this is where the Quitman 10+2 was brought on that day, December the 10th, 2010, I think it was. I was in Atlanta, Georgia when I received a phone call, and that phone call said, "George, law enforcement is going wild down here. They arrested all of us." They was talking about how they came to their homes. One county commissioner's wife, Cody's wife, they was questioning in terms of why they arrested her the way they did. But be that as it may, it wasn't their fault. They was only doing what District Attorney David Miller and Assistant District Attorney Brad Shealy, along with the G.B.R, I'm sure the Secretary of State, and other members of law enforcement had decided to do. And that was to arrest 10 of the most outstanding citizens in Brooks County, I was told. And so I interrupted my stay in Atlanta, and I came back to Brooks County. And I walked the streets with the late pastor, Moody Air Force employee Calvin Benjamin, and we interviewed people on the street. Representative Tyrone Brooks have been here. David Lucas, Senator Helen Butler, and many other people came to Brooks County to see what was going on. And the Quitman 10+2 now have received much support. And as you know, they got them for alleged voter fraud and mishandling absentee ballots, which many of us believe is nothing but a farce. For what it did for the first time in Brooks County history, it gave blacks the majority vote on the Brooks County Board of Education. And like the mayors in the state of Georgia, the newly elected black mayors that are being ignored, well, this is the Ghetto Free Press version. Listen, please. This is the Ghetto Free Press, Wednesday, August the 6th, 2014. And of course, it highlights the upcoming trial of the Quitman 10+2. Originally there was 10, then there was 12, and now there's 11. After nearly 4 years, the state of Georgia has failed to convict or find any one of them guilty. However, Latasha Head is dead. She had lupus. I talked to the father, and there is a great possibility that the stress from these alleged voter fraud accusations may have taken one life already. And we can only ask, why is it that District Attorney David Miller, Assistant District Attorney Brad Shealy, the G.B.R, the Secretary of State Brian P. Kemp, and others, why are they taking so long? Why have only half of the story been told? Let's focus in truth on this heading here in the Quitman Free Press. Look, voter fraud retrial set for August 19th, 2014. But let's look a little closer. Voter fraud third trial. Voter fraud third trial. The first voter fraud trial was a mistrial. The second voter fraud trial was a mistrial. And now the state of Georgia want to try Miss Lula Smart, and they added Dr. Nancy Dennett with her for the third trial, truth or falsehood. Why didn't the paper mention that a postal worker, Boone, took information from U.S. postal letters and ballots and sent it to a third party, gave him information. And yet the Postmaster General of Macon, the Postmaster General of Washington, D.C., haven't said nothing, saying to all postal workers that you can pull voter ballot information out of post office box and give it to a private investigator, and nothing will be done to you. It won't even be published in the newspapers and presented on TV for the most part. Wait a minute, haven't finished. As you know, the post office clerk started this initiation of this alleged voter fraud. Wait a minute. Then it was brought out in trial that the Brooks County Board of Election registrar took ballots home with her. Wait a minute. Took ballots home with her. She even had her granddaughter to work on these ballots. So we can only ask, did she also have her Republican Party friends over for dinner? Or did she have her Democratic Party over to work on the ballots at her own private residence? Or did she have the Green Party members? Or did she have the Independent Party working on those ballots in the privacy of her own home? This was brought out in the trial. And yet, listen, America, listen, people in Afghanistan, Pakistan, and other nations around the world, listen. Listen, do you not know nothing was done to the postal worker? Nothing has been published about them doing anything wrong? So this sets a precedent even for the registrar, saying to all registrars in the state of Georgia that you can take registered ballots, official absentee ballots, from locked filing cabinets and take them home and sit in the backyard and work on them, or take them down to the lake and process them, and nothing will be done. This is the new precedence that the state of Georgia have set, and it's seemingly with the approval of the Department of Justice. And now we must question the voting process here in Georgia and in the United States of America. You do not have to be a rocket scientist nor a rocking chair operator to understand that somebody have lied to us about this nation wanting to be a nation of laws and respecting the right to vote. So on August the 19th, be there. You need to see how this jury selection process is carried out in the state of Georgia. The first trial, I think, had 2 blacks. The second mistrial had 1 black and 1 black alternate. And they had a Latino lady who went to sleep in the jury box 3 times. And the 4th time, the judge said, somebody wake her up. Yet, you don't find this published in your newspapers. You don't find this on your TV stations. They won't even talk about it on radio. And this is where the ghetto free press comes in. And this is why our active duty military personnel had better question why they are fighting in the great wars of this nation when their biggest fight may be here at home. So again, I just returned back to South Georgia from a vacation, and I thought that I would give you, as I always do, just a little bit more truth. And you know, when you report the truth, they call you many dirty names. But when you look at the history of Martin Luther King, John Brown, and others that traveled that great land of Holy Divine, I'm in good company. But I will never punk out under pressure, because I believe in the God you placate and duplicate. Once again, the Ghetto Free Press. The Ghetto Free Press. Georgia and the federal government has set a dangerous precedent in this Quitman 10+2 case, the voter fraud case. Google it. I got it all over the internet. Google it. The precedent that they have set is that you can take official postal letters and get information from it as you perform your job, and as others perform their job, they can take your information and give it to a private investigator, and nothing will be done about it. If you're a registrar in the state of Georgia, you can take all of your official absentee ballots home with you, or take them to the lake. Take them down to a club and work on them and process them. Yeah, and get your grandchildren and your children to work on them. You can empower them to do that, you know. And then when it's brought out in trial, even the newspapers and the Secretary of State won't even address the issue. Sooner or later, we're going to find out, and the world will know what a real democracy looked like. Now, I challenge anybody. If they can refute, if they can sue me for anything that I've said, or if you think I can't back up what I've said with bold facts, then call me in front of your TV station like CNN with Victor Blackwell, Al Sharpton, and I can prove every point that I have made. Not only through videos, I won't even have to talk. I'll let the video talk, and there were other people. We are not as crazy as they think we are. Once again, the Ghetto Free Press. Somebody got to help save our nation and the respectability that many of the founding fathers and their supporters have built up over these centuries. Once again, the Ghetto Free Press. Not the Quitman Free Press, but the Get To Free Press. We get to the information, and then we get it back to you so it can be registered in the historic archival record of God Almighty. Because St. John 8:32 says, "And ye shall know the truth, and the truth shall set you free." Not like the Quitman Free Press or the Wilkerson County Post, but as God's free press. Bye-bye. You go.
Greetings. This is the Ghetto Free Press, the voice of the people. I have in my hand a legal document from the courts. And in the Superior Court of Brooks County, Georgia, on August the 19th, 2014, 9:00 a.m., the state of Georgia versus Lula Mary Smart. And Nancy Whitfield Denard. Defendants. The order reads, it is hereby ordered as follows. Trial in these cases, which have heretofore been joined for trial, is hereby set to begin promptly at 9:00 a.m. on Tuesday, August the 19th, 2014, in the Brooks County Courthouse, Quitman, Georgia, with jury selection. Let me say at the beginning of this video that Lula Smart was tried in September of 2013. And she was tried again in April of this year. The first trial ended up in a mistrial. The second ended up in a mistrial. And now the state of Georgia is trying Lula Smart once again for the third time. The state of Georgia have now added Nancy Whitfield Denard as well. Why they put both of them, I will never know, because Lula have already had 2 mistrials. I will leave that up to other people to decipher. But I would like for you to understand that these 12 people, the Quitman 10 plus 2, one, Latasha Head, is now deceased. I talked to her father a month ago. She had lupus. Whether or not the pressures, the added stress on her ailment was a contribution or contributed to her death is yet to be determined. But the people here in Quitman and Brooks County and around the state of Georgia don't believe that these outstanding citizens did anything wrong except got out, registered people to vote, gave them permission to file absentee ballots and to help and assist them, and they did that. And eventually they gave the Brooks County Board of Education a majority black vote for the first time in Brooks County's history. And some people, many of us believe, were not satisfied with that. So be that as it may, I'm saying to you to check out the videos that I'm going to put beneath this video so you will get the rest of the story. Because the first trial, the second trial, much of what took place in this courtroom was never published in the newspaper, the Quitman Free Press, the Valdosta Daily Times, or any other newspaper in South Georgia or in the state of Georgia. The TV stations gave both cases extremely low media coverage, if any. But the Quitman Free Press, we commend them for being in service from the 1800s until today. And so we're going to be in the courtroom if God pleases, and we are going to talk to you day by day, because we know in our form of government, too many American citizens have bled, suffered, and died not to have a free press that will report the good, the bad, and the ugly. So now, the next clip I want to show you about where this case first started with a postal clerk, Boone, who saw a number of ballots, as he claimed, in court. And he, well, you'll get the rest of that. Then I'm also going to talk about the Board of Elections and the registrar. I want to show you the building where they were, where people vote. And they took ballots from that location to her home to work on these absentee ballots. I don't know if the people that she hired, including her granddaughter, I think, I don't know if she was a Democrat or Republican, don't really care. But what I'm concerned about is the fact that when it was brought out in trial, that the registrar could deputize people, including her granddaughter, to work on these ballots, to take them home from her place of employment, and nothing be said about it by the Secretary of State, the Georgia Attorney General, or the Governor of the state of Georgia, or Eric Holder of the Justice Department with the Civil Rights Division. Now, why am I concerned with that as a retired military veteran of 21 years? I'm concerned about that because if the postal clerk could take information from official mail and give it to a private investigator at the request of a former Board of Education attorney, and nobody says nothing, then the state of Georgia is given the impression that that is the new precedent that is being set, which means all the other registrars in the state of Georgia now can take ballots from their place of employment, Mr. Eric Holder. They can take official ballots out of the post office, take information and give it to a member of the Green Party or the Republican Party or the Democratic Party or the Independent Party or somebody who don't have a party at all, and nothing be done about it. And the Postmaster General in Macon and the Postmaster General of the United States haven't said nothing about this. And so that means also that anybody can understand that that's a new precedent for the post office. In other words, your official mail now can be looked at, opened, information taken from it and given to anybody, and nobody in the state of Georgia will say anything. So, if this is the precedent that is now set, we had better ask ourselves, why are we allowing our sons and our daughters to join the United States Armed Forces to fight for the rights of foreigners while our rights are being discarded as the old 1857 Supreme Court decision called the Dred Scott decision, which said no black man had any rights that a white man had to respect. So I'm gonna be here on the 19th, and I want you to be here. And I want you to watch. The first trial, I think, had one black on it. The jury had one black, I believe. Well, two. I think it was two. And the second one had one black man on that one, and they had one alternate. Now, there's a great possibility that the computers picked those two juries. And so I guess the same computer will pick the jury selection process for this trial. And just maybe this computer this time will pick an all-black jury. Maybe the computer will make it possible for the people on this jury will be majority black. But we're gonna see, because we all must ask a question. I'm gonna ask you a question rather. When have you ever seen here in Brooks County a majority black jury? Or better yet, when have you ever seen an all black jury? Yet you often see all white juries, but never an all black or majority black jury on nothing. And I'm gonna add, for the benefit of the ordinary citizen. During the last trial, do you not know they selected a Latino lady about 4 feet tall? She couldn't even speak English nor understand English as it was brought out, because she didn't even understand when the judge told them that they may have to come back the next week before the mistrial was granted, and she didn't even understand that. That was awful embarrassing, or should have been, to that computer that picks these jurors to serve on these court cases. We sat in the courtroom, watched this same juror fall asleep 3 times, and the 4th time she threw her head back in this manner. And the judge said, somebody wake her up. Somebody wake her up. This should be a matter that is included in the transcript. But we also know that the transcripts in Georgia, many of them are altered. They are not reliable. If you doubt what I'm saying, then you could ask Shannon Watkins, whose 14-year-old daughter was hogtied by a sheriff deputy in Lowndes County, and she has not received justice yet. And she says that the transcript that she had to pay money for was altered. Don't take my word for it. She has a copy of the transcript, and we have it recorded by means unknown to some. But Jesus said, and ye shall know the truth, and that the truth shall set and make you free. And now, sit back. First, I want you to look at the building. This is the building where the registrar works, but took absentee ballots from this building that I'm about to show you to her place of residence to work on them, and the rest is history. Not published in the newspaper, but is a part of history, because you have a right to know. Listen, and as the Bible says, hear ye, O Israel, because only the truth will set us free, here in the United States of America, and even in the state of Georgia. Listen, 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 because somewhere we must know, somewhere, that there is a God somewhere keeping watch over his own. And all the people of God said, give us the truth. Give us the truth. Don't keep it from us. Don't keep it from us. Give us the truth. Please, don't just go to church, mosque, synagogue, and temples, and then lie and say you love God and that you are on your way to heaven while you practice the hate of Satan, instead of that which provide for life, for all life. So listen, please.
It hurts me. My county commissioners, Mr. S.O. Jones, Mr. Joe Wingate, and Mr. Howard Lawson, find nothing wrong with this. They find nothing wrong with this. How much can one community endure to have the right to have our votes cast and counted for who we want to represent us?
Anybody else wants to bring up anything else?
I would like to say, I know there's nothing to write down, but I want to thank you for coming. I really do. I think this is something that has been needed for a long time, and I'm hoping that it is weighed, pursued, and some type of correction action taken that we can actually say that it is a first step, baby step maybe, toward the right process to give the people of Brooks County and Lowndes County faith in the electoral process once again, especially those people like Mr. Maxwell, who I understand was wounded in Vietnam and almost lost his life. And so I'm hoping that this is not just a meeting, and I believe that you are sincere, and I just hope that it don't get lost in the cosmos of the political arena that are now prevalent in our nation. Thank you very much for coming.
We're going to sit, what I'm going to do is be able to send you a tape, a CD, because when Ken Collins, you understand, realized he had got himself in a lot of trouble.
Yes, sir.
Ms. Cox, you know, my officer called him up and told him, what in the world you think that you've done? What he did, he immediately, you understand, called up Lawyer Copeland. And he left a voice message on Lawyer Copeland's phone, apologizing to Lawyer Copeland and to Commissioner Maxwell, you understand, that he overstepped his bounds. But I have a copy, you understand, of that information. We will make sure that you get a CD.
Okay.
We're going to file, we're going to forward it up to you, okay? So you all can listen to it, okay?
I have one other question for you. What can we expect from you and your office from this proceed? Where do we go from here? Do we wait to hear back from you?
Basically, here's what's going to happen. Of course, I'm going to do my investigation. I have to interview a lot of people. And once I get done with my investigation and it's submitted to the state election board, it will be brought up at one of their meetings, which is open to the public. Anybody that wants to come to the meeting can come to the meeting, and if they want to talk with the board and go up before the board and say something, they can do that, okay?
So we don't know when that meeting will be?
Right.
How long
Yes,
will
sir.
your investigations take?
I can't tell. I don't know how long it's going to
A year?
take. I don't know. Plus, I can't tell you when it goes to exactly when it'll go to the board. You know.
Now, do we have a step as far as calling the Justice Department to make sure that we have someone that's going to be at the next election or be involved if this is not done before the November 6th? In other words, how are we going to have? Because I know this investigation will take 2 or 3 months. My thing is, how can the citizens of Brooks County feel confident that there's going to be a fair election on the 11th? I mean, on November the 6th. What kind of filing do we have to file to ensure that we have someone from the state or the Justice Department here? Because obviously we already know no one's trained, so we're just got the same train wreck on the 11th. So how, I mean the 6th, I keep saying 11th, on the 6th.
I can tell you this, we do go throughout the state during elections and during advanced voting where we monitor different locations. You know, that's a possibility. But I can't tell you, you know, if you should call the Department of Justice or not. I mean, that's totally up to y'all.
But I mean, there's a problem, so how do we know, how can we rectify a problem? I mean, someone has to tell us how we can rectify this, you know.
What I'll probably suggest doing is contact my boss, Brian Kemp's office, either by email or telephone or something, and voice your concerns. And
about someone assisting in an election.
right, I mean, I'd probably submit something to him, to his office.
Mr. Arthur, in Mr. Maxwell's situation on that, I know you said you can answer a question, but hope I can get some new out of here. On that situation, when that was brought to the election office, shouldn't the board as a whole should have been brought in to convene?
I can't answer that. I can't answer for an election or the county election board. I can't answer for them.
Okay. Well, just for your record, that
Right, that's part of my report.
okay, the board was not convened as a whole. I found out about it 3 days later, not from the election supervisor or the chairman of the board. I found out through concerned citizens. Mr. Maxwell called me himself, and a few other citizens have called me, telling me as a board member what was going on. But as a board member coming from the office of the election office, I was not notified of it. I was told briefly of it weeks later.
Okay.
Concerning Mr. Maxwell and that tax situation,
I was a trustee with the AME Church concerning the church property that was in question. And if it hadn't been for Brother Maxwell, the church would have lost the property. He paid the taxes on it and sent the letter to the chairman of the trustee board. They did not deal with it. If it had not been for him, they would have lost the property altogether. So I'm verifying that that shouldn't have been an issue. The attorney should have handled that, and that never should have came back on him. Thank God he saved the property for the church.
Have my business cards. I'll have statement forms and copies of also some of my envelopes.
One other thing, this is a copy of that DVD.
Yes, sir. I'm gonna get you to release that to me.
I sure will. I'll sign with you.
Yes, sir. Here you go, sir. If you would, just right up here, you said the CD copy or video copy, whatever the video copy is right here. I know it's the way that's phrased.
What goes here?
I would probably just put it here, sir. Yes, sir.
Yeah. And that was the 17th, right? July 17th?
Yes.
You don't need to worry about that, sir.
10.
So they had miles of road. See, you do now. You see my hand.
Don't worry about that. Just get you to print your name there. That's all I need. Put the sign.
Yes. You can go to blame.
Yes, sir.
We should say that loud. I know we should say that loud.
Thank you much.
Can I get you to sign one too, sir?
What's this, sir?
If it was, it's that you received this, I like another one. I like a copy of what military always taught me. I like a copy of this.
Do you have a copy machine here?
You got a copy machine?
Or I could, once I notarize it, I can mail you a copy.
Please do that. Do that.
Can you just write your address on the bottom? I'll be happy.
That's my military experience.
I understand.
Okay.
I'm ex-military.
You can't be asking nobody for a copy. You ain't got a copy on you, Mr. Ryan.
I won't keep you quiet.
You're supposed to have triplicate copies under that paper. That's what they taught you in the military.
But see, I didn't know he was going to have it. I didn't know he was going to even have that.
Those drive, sir. Okay, good deal. And also just get your phone number too, that way. And once I notarize it tomorrow, I'll get it in the mail to you.
I was in the military too, I remember that.
Seems like yesterday, don't it?
No.
No?
I actually been out almost 30 years.
Yeah, same thing.
What did you do?
I didn't retire, I just served for 4 years. I wish I at least went reserves, but I didn't do it.
And make sure when you look at Mr. Zurich's package, you look at the dates and the stamps of those absentee ballots. The envelopes. I mean, he could have sent you copies.
Right.
But, you know, those things are dated 2008. They're from another county.
You know, when they first started, when he was talking about the absentee ballot,
Yes, ma'am.
someone called me and said they told him they can only give him so many 10 or whatever. And I told him,
You're saying what the way you're describing, you're talking about the application. Application, correct? Yes, ma'am.
And I told him, well, I wasn't worried about it because when my son was running for the November election last year, I didn't go through that. And then they did it bad then. I just went to another county, what I wanted, because they were issuing them out, like, I don't know why. So I just got them from another county. They told me, you know, you all either run off some or you can get them from the state or whatever. I just went to the other county and I picked up some, and that's how it, because they was telling, they can only give out so long.
The same thing
I
happened.
believe they're also on the internet too, where you can
But
put them up on the internet too.
Mr. Collins made me show him my little certificate that he had given me for the voter registration training before he would give me in.
Okay. Did anybody want to speak with me one-on-one, or just want me to contact you later, or?
I didn't know it, I came here from somewhere else, I got a phone call, but I'm gonna go ahead, and my neighbors too down there, I'm gonna go ahead and get ours, make sure that they put theirs in the bill, I put mine in the bill.
That's fine. Yes, ma'am. Did anybody want to meet with me one-on-one? No? Okay. Did you go too, sir?
This is a small town of Quitman, Georgia, in the county of Brooks. And of course, this is where the Quitman 10+2 was charged with alleged voter fraud, mishandling of absentee ballots. And this is the post office in Quitman, Georgia. And this is where one postal clerk by the name of Mr. Boone noticed, as he testified in court, that there was a bundle of absentee ballots in the mail. And of course, what he did was that he notified authorities, but not before he gave information from those official ballots to a third party. And we also found out that I believe it was indeed a former attorney for the Brooks County School Board, and the rest is history because it came out in the courtroom. Yet you don't know much about that in terms of what happened in the courtroom in either of the two mistrials of the Miss Lula Smart case. But yet we are here to report because we believe that you have a right to know. The question have been asked and still being asked, why is it that the Postmaster General in Macon or at higher levels been called in to investigate for the information that citizens put on their personal mail should not be released to anyone outside of the postal channels until it gets to the person. And so we know, because we was in the courtroom, this information was taken from those official ballots and given to a private investigator as it came out in the case of Lula Smart. And once again, why is it? The question is, why is it that this postal clerk has not been called in and something been said in the general public about whether this new precedent wherein in the state of Georgia, a postal clerk can take information from an official ballot or personal mail and possibly open it and or take information from it and give it to someone without the person that wrote the letter's permission. It seems like Georgia is a state with its own set of laws and rules. Yet the Quitman 10+2 are facing, after nearly 4 years, accusations against 12 outstanding citizens. And I believe it is a travesty of justice. Again, after 4 years, and these outstanding citizens have still not had their day in court. Yes, this is the Brooks County office building. Tax Commission, Tax Assessor, Zoning, and the Board of Elections. This is where the registrar, I guess, took official ballots from this official location to her home to work on them. And apparently the Secretary of State, Brian P. Kemp, has no problem with that, because as far as the general public knows, nothing has been said about this new precedent that has been set with the Quitman 10+2, which was the basis for indicting these 12 outstanding citizens, much like what happened with the post office. A postal clerk took ballots and information from the ballot and gave it to a third party, as was brought out in court records, and it should be in the transcript of the first Lula Smart mistrial, the second mistrial of Lula Smart, and of course August the 19th. This is why I'm doing this, because I want the people to know that these individuals have been waiting for nearly 4 years to have their day in court. Next, it is what it is.
I wasn't there, when they drove the slaves from the ship, and I wasn't there, no. Hey, when they whipped my great-great-grandfather with the whip, oh, I can feel the pain. Lord have mercy, I can feel the pain. Yeah, feel the pain, yes I can, and I wasn't there, no. Hey, when they raped my great-great-great-grandmother, and I wasn't there, oh no. Lord, when she cried out for help, oh, I can feel the pain. All right. Early in the morning, I can yeah, I can feel the pain. Yes, I can. I can still hear the slaves moaning as they slowly walk down the gangplank from the ship. And all I could do, Lord, all I could do is stand there and cry.